It's me, Lil Ninja, back with another video, and today we're doing What If Asta Was in Image A. This will be a new series, just like all my other series. And next week I will be doing part 2s, and I will be, actually for a couple of weeks, I will be doing either part 2s and part 3s. So yeah, so no new What Ifs for maybe like a month or two. No new What Ifs for about a month. I will be doing part 2s and part 3s and redos, so you will not be getting new What Ifs. Besides for this week and the Christmas special and the 1 hour special for Sunday on Christmas that will be coming out. And you're obviously watching this on, I would say Thursday, because that's when it's coming out. Wait, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, you're watching this on Thursday. This is my Thursday episode. And thank you for watching, if you did, all my other videos that were on Wednesday and Tuesday. Thank you for watching those two videos. If you did watch those two videos, I don't know what you do. You watch that stuff? Okay, if you don't watch that stuff, then why is it down there inside of your... I'm not even going to ask. Okay, just subscribe so that I can get to 500 subscribers. And when we get to 300 subscribers, I'll be doing 1 hour special. And here we go into the video. It's Little Ninja time. Okay, so we start with Asta. He has just become the Wizard King, and I'm making this up as I go, just to let you know. He just became the Wizard King, and he's basically very old. He decides to take a little nap, and what he doesn't know is happening is that a lot of people are already against him. They don't want this lousy kid becoming the Wizard King, even though he's super strong. They would use a spell on him and would make him back into a child. Basically, he is basically a baby again now. Then they would open a dimensional portal and would kick the baby into the dimensional portal, hoping that Asta would not survive inside of the dimensional gap. And then Little Ninja, yes, I'm putting myself in the story. Little Ninja comes out of the shadows. He would take the baby to the My Hero Academia universe. And since he's in the My Hero Academia universe, he would fall and he would not be hurt though. He would end up on Inko Midoriya and Hisashi Midoriya's doorstep, with Inko already having Izuku being a baby. Hisashi would open the door and would see that there is a baby outside. Hisashi would take the baby in and would sit down saying that there was a baby at the doorstep. And Inko asks, was there anyone else out there? And Hisashi would say no. Asta would not cry or anything. He would just be sleeping peacefully until he woke up. And then he would still be quiet and he would look at himself, not knowing that he can't even talk anymore. He can't even explain what happened. So he would decide to keep this secret to himself and find out where exactly he is when he is old enough. And that would go on 4 years. And Izuku and his Asta, which is what he actually got. Asta, when he was 4, he wrote on a piece of paper and put it in his crib while they were looking for the old crib because they were going to sell it. They found a name tag, and Asta placed the name tag there, and they did not know that was Asta because it was pretty neat handwriting. It was pretty good handwriting for a 4-year-old, so they couldn't even tell that a 4-year-old wrote it. Plus, they don't really see Asta write that much. And they would say, so his name is Asta. Well, we need to change his name now because they're just going to name him Midoriya. And so, yeah, they're just going to name him Midoriya, like just Midoriya. So now he's Asta Midoriya. And Iko and Hasashi would take both of them to the Cork Doctor. Of course, both of them would be renounced as corkless, and Izuku begins to tear up, thinking that he can't be a hero now. And Asta just got mad, saying that I already heard this kind of thing before. And then he just covered his mouth, and then he just tried to comfort Izuku. And also, he would be rummaging through most of his stuff, and then Asta would find his book. His grimoire, to be exact. The grimoire of the anti-magic masters. He would look through it, and all of the swords that he had are there. He would just grab the book and would think, what can he do with this? He doesn't think he's old enough to use this book yet, and he would try to see if he could still summon one of his swords. He would summon the smallest katana sword that he got from one of his missions, and he would pull the sword out, seeing that he can grab it, but deciding to keep this to himself since he still wants them to think that he's corkless, or whatever corkless is. He would put the sword back inside the book and would carry the book around if he ever needed it. And you're thinking, why would a 4-year-old need a bunch of weapons? I know, but technically he's not a 4-year-old. And yeah. We will go on to about the same time that Izuku and Asta are walking under the bridge from the sludge villain. And the sludge villain would appear and go after Midoriya instead of Asta. And then Asta would grab the book, because, he carries it everywhere. And he would pull out the big blade. With it not being, with being in this new world, not being able to cast magic, repel magic, it will actually be able to repel corks now, meaning that corks will not work against it. And he would slap the sludge villain off, with the sludge villain transforming back into his regular form, and with the sludge villain being near it. Well, this is not going to be permanent, but it will take corks away if needed. The sludge villain would then turn back into his regular form, and Asta would just look at it, and he would think that wasn't going to work at all. He didn't think that the sludge villain was just going to turn back into his regular form. Asta would look at the sword, and he would see some sludge on the sword. With Asta being in this new universe, the grimoire is still evolving. Instead of just repelling corks, he can also temporarily use the corks that he repels. Of course, once the person that had the cork gets their cork back, he will not be able to use it anymore. Actually, never mind. His grimoire can just copy stuff now. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. He's too OP for that. But yeah, I want him to be even more OP, so nobody can step to him. Asta would use this, would not know about this ability until he starts training with it. And All Might will pop out of nowhere, seeing the two boys sitting there. With Izuku still being shocked because he thinks that Asta has a cork, and Asta would Asta would try to comfort Izuku, and when All Might got super close to Asta, trying to comfort Izuku as well, All Might would immediately turn back into his Small Might form, and both Asta and Izuku would just be surprised with All Might having to explain to them what happened, and Asta would then put the sword back inside the book, and Asta would explain to them what happened to him. And at first, both of them did not believe it until what he showed them. He doesn't have a quirk. He can't activate this power without this book. So then they start to believe him. And his Asta would say, "Can you give that power to Izuku?" And Izuku would be shaking his head, saying like, "No, I can't have that type of power." And Asta would say he could train him, especially with my powers back. I could definitely stop you if you overuse that power of yours. And All Might would start to think, saying that is a very good idea, since that sword can repel quirk energy, not just manifestation quirks, but transformation quirks as well. Even stockpiling quirks should not be immune to it. And as Izuku would hear this, he would think that he can finally become a hero. And Asta would say, "Yeah, you can become a hero." And All Might would repeat this, and they would go to Dagobah Beach for the 10 months to clean it, with them doing it way faster than 10 months, actually cleaning it in 2 months, and using that rest of the time to help Izuku use One for All. So with those 8 months, Izuku would be using One for All better, with his limit being 10. If he concentrates enough, yes, he can use 10, but for the perfect the thing that he can use the most would be 5%, meaning that he's not really that good with 6 and up. So, but he will not break his bones with 6 and up. He could overexert himself. So with that, Izuku is ready for entrance exams, and Asta would start getting ready as well. I'm taking the actually, never mind. Asta would take a piece of Izuku's hair and then put it inside of the book, with the book showing a new page and it would say One for All, a quirk, something new to this book. And Asta would just keep reading it, and he would think, I can copy these people's quirks. And Asta would try to use One for All. He would almost break his arm since he used 100%, even though he's actually very strong at this point in time. All Might and Izuku would be surprised, and All Might would think, is Izuku gonna lose his power? And Asta would say no, because he didn't directly consume it. So that means I copied the DNA without Izuku having to lose One for All. And All Might would think, 2 users of One for All. This had never happened before. And Izuku would just be surprised, thinking they both can use One for All. And Asta would think, I not only can absorb your DNA, but I can also probably absorb other people's DNA. Meaning, he can absorb quirks. So, yeah. But mutation quirks like the tail quirk will not be allowed, or that glue quirk that makes you spew goo out of your face. So those two things will not be available. Well, those two things like that will not be available, or anything that alters the body in such a way that magic cannot do. Well, Asta's magic anyway. Something like Katsuki's explosions, or Oraka's float. Since they are small changes, then those can happen, because Katsuki's is a small mutation quirk. It mutated his arms so that his the sweat glands in his arms sweat glycerin that he can ignite at any time. If you did not know that, yes, Katsuki's quirk is a mutation type quirk. So is Oraka's. So yeah, Izuku would think, and he would think of ways that he could use one for all. And I keep saying "and" a lot. I'm just gonna time skip to entrance exams. Asta and Izuku walk in with Bakugo berating them to asking why did they even come since they don't even have quirks. And Asta and Izuku would say they're late bloomers. And Ida would tell all of them to just sit down and listen. With All Might explaining everything and going over the practical exams, saying stuff about the 1-pointer, the 2-pointer, and the 3-pointer, and then as canon, Ida would say you forgot the 0-pointer, even though President Mike was getting to the 0-pointer. Ida, you could have just waited, but you didn't, so that's why you didn't hear it. Izuku would be listening to President Mike instead of muttering like he did in canon. Since he's way more confident, he doesn't mutter to himself anymore. He just thinks inside of his head. And even though he is very, very, very smart, Asta would get mediocre on the tests because, Asta's not that smart. Even though he does have neat handwriting, he is definitely not the smartest or the brightest person alive. Izuku would get second, with Ida getting third, Bakugo getting fourth. Asta being almost dead last in the writing exams. And Asta and Izuku would be walking up to the door, thinking that this is going to be easy. Asta would pull out his book while Izuku would get one for all ready. Asta and Izuku would run into the battlefield, taking out as much robots as they can, with every robot not even being a challenge to them. Izuku would end up taking out a lot of robots, mainly 2-pointers and 3-pointers, with Asta taking out all kinds of robots. Then Izuku would decide to take a break since he doesn't want to overexert himself with one for all, since he doesn't want to break any of his bones. Asta would actually be the one to implement one for all inside of one of his swords and would just keep slashing at everything. Seeing as one for all can be put into any of his weapons, Asta would find a robot cannon that would just be laying on the ground. Asta would think, and he would proceed to put the cannon inside of the book, with the book repairing it and implementing its anti-quirk essence into the cannon. So yeah, I'm just going to be giving him a bunch of different weapons. Not just swords and not just cannons, but different weapons. And they will be from different time periods. Not just weapons, but quirks as well. As I already stated inside when I said he has one for all. Izuku would just look at Asta thinking that he's crazy. Asta would pull out the cannon and would fire it at a bunch of robots. And he would be getting more and more points. Asta would put the cannon back and grab a sword so that he can keep slashing at the robots. Asta would proceed to grab another sword and slash until the 0-pointer and the Araka scene happened. Midoriya was getting ready to jump into action, but Asta stopped him as soon as he tried. Asta would then run, with Asta slashing the rubble, taking Araka out, putting Araka into Izuku's hands, and Asta telling Izuku to run, with Asta using one for all inside of the sword, and would jump up with one for all inside of his feet and would slash the whole giant 0-pointer, and it would just explode as soon as Asta landed on the ground. Asta would put the sword back, hand would be right there without a scratch, with everyone just being amazed that he cut the 0-pointer in half with one slash. One slash was all it took for Asta to take that thing down. Why am I making this like this? Okay, I'm getting tired now. But I also gotta make another video today, so yeah. Izuku would be surprised that Asta actually did that, with Izuku taking Uraraka to Recovery Girl, and Asta and Izuku giving Uraraka their names. With Uraraka just blushing. Yes, it's canon. So that's what I'm doing, because it's canon. Well, the part about them giving her their names is not canon, but still, canon enough. Izuku and Asta walk off and go back to their house, with Inko being happy that they're there. And Inko and Asta would explain about their quirks and explain where they have been, because they didn't tell her at first, because I didn't feel like doing that. And then they would be all fine, and that is where I'm going to be leaving it off. Like any other time, I want you to subscribe, help me grow to 500 subscribers, and all of that. So I will see you later, and hope you have a good Christmas, even though I'm probably going to say that on the Christmas special. Well, I'll see you later, and goodbye and all that stuff. Little Ninja out. Little Ninja says bye.